Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to
Good
Political
morning, everybody.
Ray.
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 Welcome back to
Good morning,
Political
everybody.
Ray.
Welcome back to
Good
Political
morning, everybody.
Ray.
Welcome back to
Good morning,
Political Ray.
everybody. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Live show, everybody. Sorry about that. Listen, we got some news that come out over the weekend. Happy to be here. Happy everybody. Glad everybody's here. Appreciate you coming back. Look, we got some news that come out over the weekend. The big one being Shapiro's governor's mansion being set ablaze by an arson. Little bit wild of a story. There's a lot of information roaming around the internet. We're gonna dive into that for a bit, and we've got some pictures of the damage, what have you, but not a good thing. People that do this they've just gone off their rocker. But we'll get into that. Trump is suing CBS again, I guess. And we've got Trump. He shows up at the UFC fight. There's got a standing ovation when he got into when he waltzes in. He waltzed in like a conquering hero, as it were. But we'll get into that a little bit too. And we got Jasmine Crockett being investigated by the FEC. That's interesting. But we'll get into that. And we also got voter rolls in Arizona being purged. They are talking about removing up to 50,000 voters off of Arizona voter rolls, which they shouldn't be there in the first place if it's what they're claiming it to be. But we'll get into all that. Let's see. We'll take a look here and let me get myself shrunk down here. And again, I apologize for the audio. Anyway, so we've got from the post millennial. Let me get this up here. Close. Why is that not leaving? Anyway, let me see if I can fix this. But I don't know why it's doing that. Let me fix this real quick. Sorry about this. We get rid of this. Weird. Anyway, let's see where we got. There it is. No, that's Crockett. Give me a second here. This is. Where did it go? Let's see if I can find it again. Sorry, guys. We'll just go ahead and we'll just go with this one. I think I lost the article, but we'll just roll with this. All right, so we've got Ben Shapiro, or not Ben Shapiro. Anyway, Josh Shapiro, the governor for Pennsylvania, his house was set ablaze. I believe it was Saturday night. This is wild. Okay, this kind of stuff, it shouldn't happen. There's no reason for it. It's uncalled for. A lot of people are saying that the person that did this, I'm not going to say the guy's name just because I don't want to give him any clout or anything like that, but shouldn't have happened. Period. I don't care if you're left, right, independent. You shouldn't be this kind of behavior, not allowed. It's the same thing with the Tesla dealerships and everything else. Call out bad behavior where it's warranted. The guy has been arrested, thankfully. They did catch him. Apparently, it was over some dispute, whether his property being auctioned off within the state, and he was not happy with Shapiro, how he's running the state, apparently. So we've got that, but we'll check this out. This is him talking about it, and the guy's a little shook up, understandably. This was from yesterday. Just him talking about the incident, and again, I'm not going to cover anything as far as the guy's name. I'm not going to give him any clout. I don't want to do that. But that's just me. But here, we'll check this out.
Lori and I are overwhelmed by the prayers and the messages of support that we've received from all across Pennsylvania and all across the United States. We've heard from our fellow governors and first spouses.
And look, I will pause it there for just a quick second and say, look, this again, I will say this kind of behavior is not acceptable. I condemn anybody who does this, left, right, independent, what have you. This stuff cannot be happening. Violence, in my opinion, is not anything to act upon. It's not okay. Again, I'll stress it one more time with the violence against Tesla, dealerships, personal vehicles, charging stations. It plays into the same thing here. I'm not a fan of Josh Shapiro. I don't necessarily care for the guy, but I don't want to see this kind of stuff happening. This is immoral. It's wrong, and anybody who commits these kinds of violence, these types of attacks, you're an evil person. I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't. You can call me heartless for that if you want to, but I don't care what the situation you're in. This is never the answer. Let's keep going.
We've heard from several of the former governors of Pennsylvania. We've heard from so many friends and loved ones. And we've heard from so many caring citizens of this great Commonwealth. I want you all to know that your prayers lift us up. And in this moment of darkness, we are choosing to see light. And we appreciate the light that you have shined upon us. Pennsylvania State Police, led by Colonel Christopher Parris, will brief on the specifics of what transpired. But we do know that this attack was targeted. We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay.
It's not. Completely agree. Again, I will just stress, I don't care who you are. This stuff cannot happen. Consequences for actions. I'm glad they caught the guy. I hope they throw the book at him. This is not okay.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society.
Yes, it is.
And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay.
It's not.
And it has to stop. We have to be better than this. And we have a responsibility to all be better. Second,
look, I will stress, I agree 100% with everything he said right there. It's just what I was saying before. 100%. I don't care if you're left, right, middle, independent, what have you. This stuff cannot happen. It's wrong. The guy's kids were in their beds. This is insane. This kind of stuff should not be happening. The violence that we are seeing in America today is beyond anything I've seen in my lifetime. Look at the riots of 2020, the summer of love, as they call it. This kind of stuff shouldn't be happening. And look, I'll give the guy credit for coming out and saying what he did, but until it actually happened to him, he was pretty much silent as far as the left-wing violence that has been happening against Tesla, the dealerships, people who just drive a Tesla. Where was this guy, just a week ago with all the violence that's been happening against Tesla owners and everything that's going on with that? He didn't say nothing until it happened to him. Again, I will stress, I agree with everything he just said. But why didn't he say this a week ago when it was happening to Tesla owners, Tesla dealerships, Tesla charging stations? The violence has to stop. Make an example of these people now. A lot of people are getting arrested. I'm glad this guy got caught. I'm glad he got arrested. And I hope they throw the book at him. I do. I don't care which side of the aisle you line up on. This kind of stuff should not be happening. Period. You can have your political opinions. Resorting to violence is not how we solve things. But anyway.
If this individual was trying to deter me from doing my job as your governor, rest assured I will find a way to work even harder than I was just yesterday for the good people of Pennsylvania. Here's a third truth. If he was trying to terrorize our family, our friends, the Jewish community who joined us for a Passover Seder in that room last night, hear me on this. We celebrated our faith last night proudly, and in a few hours we will celebrate our second Seder of Passover again proudly. No one will deter me or my family or any Pennsylvanian from celebrating their faith openly and proudly.
I think that's, I mean, good on them. Like, I'm not Jewish. I don't have anything against any religion, honestly. Um, and the fact that they just celebrated Passover, um, they're gonna do it. They're gonna celebrate their second night of it. Last night, as it were, because this was yesterday. But the just the simple fact that this guy was setting the mayor's or the governor's mansion ablaze in the middle of the night while his kids were in bed sleeping, it's beyond me. It's just nuts that the way this world is going. But anyway,
Grateful to the good people of Pennsylvania for giving me the honor to serve as their 48th governor. I will continue to pour every ounce of my being into this work. I'm going to do my best to be your governor, and right now to be a good husband and father to my family, who are obviously traumatized by what occurred here last night. We are grateful to law enforcement for helping ease some of that trauma thanks to their outstanding work. They were here within seconds, and they did an extraordinary job. Local, state, and federal law enforcement partners. I now want to bring up the Colonel of the Pennsylvania State Police to give you some specifics on the investigation.
all right, I'm gonna stop it there because they don't really talk about anything much more of interest in this video. So I'll stop it there. I just wanted to show Josh's, take on this. And look, again, I'll say I don't agree with this. Shouldn't be happening. But according to the reports, it looks like they did catch this person. Again, I won't say the person's name because I'm not going to give him any clout. But was arrested for allegedly setting fire. I don't know why they say allegedly. They know he did it, but anyway, that's just something they have to say because innocent until proven guilty. But I digress. Setting fire to the Pennsylvania governor's Josh Shapiro's residence on April 13th, 25 at 2 a.m. Look, the middle of the night. His kids are sleeping. They're sleeping. Him and his wife are sleeping. The guy's a monster, okay? It's plain and simple. That's all there is to it. I don't care your situation. There was circumstances, as I said before. The guy apparently lost his house. Property. It says property. I didn't see anything specific. I'm guessing it's probably his home. And he was understandably upset about it. But it does not give you ample cause to go and do this and try and, I mean, look, this is attempted murder. The guy's kids were in bed asleep. The guy is evil. I don't care the circumstances. Anyway, causing significant damage while the governor's family, including 4 children and 2 dogs, safely evacuated. Thank God for that. I mean, I'm glad that nobody was hurt. That's the main takeaway from this, is that everybody came out unscathed, no injuries. It's always a blessing to hear something like that, especially when this crap is going on. I mean, anyway, it says motive stemmed from anger over the state auctioning his property, leading to charges of attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault. With authorities, noting he used homemade incendiary devices and had a well-planned approach. It was premeditated. The guy knew what he was doing. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff flying around the world wide webs about this going on. I do not believe, and you can debate me if you want to, but I am not of the opinion that there's some people are saying that Shapiro had staged this. I don't think that that's the case. There's nothing in there saying that this was the case. I don't believe that for a second. Um, the guy is obviously just I mean, unless he's like just the best actor in the world, you can tell he's obviously distraught about this. He's upset. You can tell just by the press conference that he gave that he's very upset about this. And who wouldn't be? If I had my house set ablaze with my kids sleeping in their beds, I'd be irate. I'd be out for blood. But that's just me. I don't think it was staged. I think the guy was off his rocker. He was he was upset, understandably. Again, not justifiably enough to go and do something like this. This is evil. It's an evil person. He should be locked up. They should throw the book at him. Get him for murder, attempted murder. Get him for arson. Get him for everything that they can. What was the? Let me double check that just to make sure I got that right. Attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault. Throw the book at him. I hope this guy goes away for the rest of his life. I'm not going to shy away from that. The guy is evil. He should go away for the rest of his life. This was you're trying to burn down a house with children sleeping in their beds. As a father, I hope he gets life in prison. That's I don't care. Don't care the reasoning behind it. I don't care. The guy's evil. He needs to go to prison for the rest of his life. That's just the way I think about it. Again, as a father, if something happened like this, I'd be irate. I had lost my mind. Kudos to Josh. Again, I'm not a fan of the guy, but kudos to him for coming out. I agree with mostly everything he said. Um, but I will stress again just the fact that, where were you a week ago? You should have come out a week ago and condemning, violence against Tesla owners and Tesla dealerships. But I digress again. I'm stay away from that because I'll just start rambling again about that. But let's take a look at this. This is some of the pictures from the resident. This is wild. I mean, why? Why? Anyway, um, I guess this is maybe the front sitting room, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know the layout of the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, but looks like some kind of sitting room. There's the piano back there in the corner. This is wild. I mean, the guy obviously did a good job. And again, it's a blessing and thank God that nobody was hurt. They were able to get out safely with no kind of injuries. That's always again, it's a blessing that happened. But let's see. Here's the side. Another view from the other side looks like, and this is where because they had that dinner in there for the Passover that they were celebrating. I don't get it. Again, I understand being upset over your property being auctioned off and what have you, but look, what was the circumstances? What was the reasoning by, why was your property seized and auctioned off? Were you faulty on your loan? I mean, there's got to be a story there that I haven't seen yet. So I have no sympathy for the guy. Here's a little, Passover crafts. Help yourself to some kid-friendly Passover crafts. There was looks like they had some stuff for kids to do there. I mean, they were celebrating their religious Passover for in the Jewish community. I don't. It's difficult. I mean, again, I'll just say I don't agree with this. This should not be happening in today's America, but it is, and a lot of it is, these politicians, they won't come out and condemn this crap. That's what a lot of it is. You can argue with me all you want, but until somebody comes out and says this stuff has to stop, like Shapiro did, my opinion, it's a little too late. He only did it because it happened to him, but I digress again. Let's see. It's just I don't know. It's a tough situation. I feel bad for him and his family. I hope that they do well. I send my prayers and thoughts to them, and hopefully they can, hopefully this didn't traumatize his kids too bad. I mean, I can only imagine what they're going through. Um, not a good situation. It sucks. I wish him the best. Even though I'm not a fan of the guy, but I wish him the best. I hope his kids are okay. I hope they can get over this. I hope it doesn't traumatize them too bad to where they can't sleep in their beds anymore. I mean, this is terrible. Evil man, and he needs to be put away for life. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll move on to the 60 Minutes thing here. 60 Minutes, ABC. CBS rather, not ABC. Um, so President Trump has come out. He is saying that he's going to sue, and I've read a couple things about this. Now I'll just read over this real quick, because this is interesting to me, and I thought I'd bring it up. Um, Almost every week, 60 Minutes, which is being sued for billions of dollars for the fraud they committed in the 24 presidential election with their interview with failed presidential candidate Kamala Harris, mentions the name Trump in a derogatory and defamatory way. But this weekend's broadcast tops them all. They did not they did not one but two major stories on Trump, one having to do with Ukraine, which I say is the war that would never have happened in 20 if the 20 election had not been rigged. In other words, if I were president, and the other story was having to do with Greenland, casting our country as led by me falsely, inaccurately, and fraudulently. I am so honored to be suing 60 Minutes, CBS, fake news, and Paramount over their fraudulent, beyond recognition reporting. Let's just be honest. I mean, we all remember 60 Minutes did that. They did that sit down with the German people, and Germany is straight up arresting people for speech on social media platforms. UK's doing it too. I mean, there's no America is the only place in the world that has freedom of speech. You can argue the fact that they have free speech, but they don't. Because if they did, they wouldn't be getting arrested for posting memes and whatnot on the internet. Oh, excuse me. And the hiccups already. So, I am honored to be suing 60 Minutes, CBS Fake News, and Paramount over the fraudulent reporting they did everything possible to illegally elect Kamala, including completely and corruptly changing major news to interview questions, but it just didn't work for them. They are not a news show, but a dishonest political operative simply disguised as news. They must be responsible for what they have done and are doing. They should lose their license. Hopefully, the Federal Communications Commission, as headed by its highly respected chairman, Brendan Carr, will impose the maximum fines and punishment, which is substantial for their unlawful, and illegal behavior. CBS is out of control at levels never seen before, and they should pay a big price for this. Make America great again. Okay, so, like I said, there's been talks about I've read online about there was a CBS had moved to dismiss. It's a $20 billion lawsuit. CBS had moved to dismiss it, didn't get it. They did, however, Trump and CBS has agreed on a mediator. I expect this to be settled out of court, just like his previous lawsuit was. I think he got, what was that, like 15 million, I think it was, for that settlement. I expect this to go much the same way. It's probably going to get settled out of court. It's the only thing else you'll hear about it is President Trump will put out a truth post saying that it has been settled and he got such and such money, however much the settlement will be, perhaps. I think that'll be it. I don't think that you'll hear much else about this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is just going to go by the wayside. They're not going to report on this. It's not going to be a major news story because they don't want to talk about it. The mainstream media will not put this out there. Like I said, it's going to be handled quietly. It'll end up in a settlement because they don't want bad publicity and what have you. So, and that's fine. I guess, whatever. He'll probably, like I said, he'll get a settlement out of it and it'll go away. So, but meanwhile, he was he went to the UFC, and a lot of people there's a RFK, I believe it was his wife, but people were saying on X that it was Pam Bondi, and even that he's mad at her because he just kind of bypassed her. But the way I understand it, there's some kind of inside joke between him and her as far as RFK's wife. I don't know about him not shaking her hand, but the rumors flying around on X about that was Pam Bondi when it wasn't, and that even he's mad at her. Which I'll tell you, everybody knows if you've seen any of my previous videos, I'm not a fan of Pam Bondi. I think she's done a terrible job. I don't think that she should be on Fox News every night spewing whatever she wants to spew and not doing anything action-wise. I think she's been a failure, and I'd be okay if Trump replaced her. That's just me being honest. But we'll take a look at this video, and this is him coming into the arena and to a standing ovation. It was pretty wild.
And making the entrance right now,
walking in like a boss,
to a standing ovation, the 47th president of the United States of America, flanked by UFC CEO Dana White and others, Donald J. Trump.
Is there anybody else that has a walk-in other than a fighter? I mean, he has some music, Kid Rock starts playing.
He had one at the NCAA tournament too. He always gets a walkout. It's like a prerequisite for him coming. Give him the walkout. People love it.
They do.
Well, and what he loves is mixed martial arts, right? I mean, he talks about watching these fight nights when he is not in the building. And President Trump making his way to the octagon yet again for a massive UFC pay-per-view event.
Got to talk to him about the fights. He really loves fights.
No doubt.
He loves it.
Hey, look, I mean, President Trump does he's a big fan of the UFC. He's friends with Dana White. I don't watch UFC, but I know a lot of people that do. I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather watch football, but that's just me. President Trump really enjoys the fights. And that's fine. I don't have a problem against that. But he got a standing ovation again, and like I said, if you want to see the whole Pam Bondi thing, I think her name's Cheryl. But it wasn't Pam. If you can see that on X, it's all over X. But it wasn't Dana or Dana. I was gonna say Dana White. It wasn't Pam Bondi. They do look similar. I'll give him that. But wasn't Pam Bondi. I don't know if Trump's mad at her. I am. I don't think that she's done a good job since she got in there, but that's just me. A lot of people do agree with me. But anyway, we'll go ahead and move on to Jasmine Crockett. She's making the news again. This time not in a good way. Rep Jasmine Crockett under FEC investigation over Act Blue campaign donations. This is from the Post Millennial. I don't like Jasmine Crockett. Most people that I know don't like her. I think she's a grifter. I think she uses a fake accent when she's talking to certain people. I think she's a fake. And I think she should be investigated. She's got a pretty high net worth, and she only makes $174,000. I think she's at the base as far as like Congress. So, but I think a lot of people should be investigated. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Everybody, and I mean everybody, left, right, middle, don't care. Everybody should have an investigation because you've got career politicians. Prime example, Nancy Pelosi. What's her net worth? Like $250 million at this point. Her salary is what, $210,000 a year, something like that. I added it up before on a previous video. Even if she saved every single penny from her salary, she would not come even close to what her net worth is. Not even close. I think these people should be investigated. Particularly Nancy for insider trading. There's been a lot of talks about that. Maybe that's going to be... Look, they came out and said that they want to investigate President Trump for insider trading. Old Adam Shifty said that Trump should be investigated for insider trading because the stock market skyrocketed after he said it's a good time to buy. At least he let us know. It was more than Nancy did. I think everybody should be investigated. Jasmine Crockett, AOC, anybody in the squad, Nancy Pelosi, Dan Crenshaw, left, right, center. I don't care. Everybody should have an investigation. At this point, with the shenanigans and the money being made within Congress, investigations need to take place. I don't care who you are. Anyway, I'm rambling again. We'll get into this here. Now, let's see. The Federal Elections Commission has opened an investigation into Representative Jasmine Crockett over donations to her campaign that were made through Act Blue. And now everybody knows that Act Blue is not. They're not the most honest of, donation peoples. Anyway, a Democratic fundraising platform that has recently come under scrutiny for suspicious donation activity. Yeah, a lot of suspicious activity. A complaint to the FEC was filed by conservative advocacy group, the Coolidge Reagan Foundation, in March against Crockett with respect to her fundraising activity on Act Blue, as well as alleged voter intimidation, according to the Daily Signal. Now, look, there's a story in here about there was I think it was an older couple that was asked about this, where they had made donations and they had no idea that they were doing it. They had no clue. Anyway, let's see. On April 2nd, the group was notified by the FEC that the agency would be looking into the matter with respect to Crockett. The respondents will be notified of this complaint within 5 business days. FEC Assistant General Counsel for Complaints, Examination, and Legal Administration, Wanda D. Brown, told the Coolidge Reagan Foundation in a letter, "You will be notified as soon as the Federal Election Commission takes final action on your client's complaint. Should you receive any additional information in this matter, please forward it to the offices of the General Counsel." I think, again, I'll just say she should be investigated. All of them should be. Every single one of them. I cannot stress that enough. I want every single one of them. Everybody in Congress. Could take a while. There's a lot of people in Congress. I'm fine. Investigate every single one of them. Hopefully they do it on the down low. That way they don't give anybody else time to, get their affairs in order. Anyway. Let's see. The outlet reported that the letter was sent to Dan Becker, who is an attorney for the Coolidge Reagan Foundation. Becker told the Daily Signal the FEC opened an investigation. There is a process, but they are investigating. Good. Donor was reported to have given 53 separate donations to Crockett's campaign that totaled $595 and were made through the Act Blue donations portal. The donations were tied to a 73-year-old Texas resident named Randy Best. However, Best's wife has said that she did not know anything about the donations. Sheldon Daniels, who plans on running against Crockett in the 26 midterms, posted a video about the alleged allegation from Best's wife. And we'll take a look at this. This is, look, I hope this guy can beat her. I don't know if he can in that district, but I hope so. I hope all this comes to light. I hope he can beat her. Like I said, I don't like Jasmine Crockett. I don't know a lot of people that do, but I don't live in that area. So anyway, we'll take a look at this video. This is from Sheldon Daniels, and I hope he wins in the midterms. I do. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe it won't play. Anyway, I'll just read this. Jasmine Crockett received $16,000 in political contributions from an elderly retired couple. Sheldon Daniels, who is running against Jasmine Crockett, went to their house to confirm the contributions, and they had no idea what the charges were. That's crazy. But it doesn't surprise me. Again, Democrats, and not just Democrats. I know I say that, but again, I'll stress, I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. If you're this shady where you're stealing money from elderly retired people, no, not a fan. Accountability. I'm going to say this too. Do I think anything will come of this? Probably not. I honestly don't. I'll stress consequences for actions. These people do this kind of crap because they know they've been getting away with it for years, and they know there's no consequences to their actions. That's why they do it. And until you actually start holding these people accountable for this kind of crap, they're just going to keep going with it. They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing whatever they want because they know there's no accountability. I can't say it enough. I've said it, I think, every single show that I've done. There's no accountability, and they're just going to keep doing it because they know they can get away with it. Anyway, let's keep going with this. The complaint argues that that it is possible that other donations may have been similar in pattern to the 53 repeated donations. That's crazy. Now, I'd imagine how this works is this elderly couple, they probably did donate one time, but then the charges kept reoccurring. Now, maybe it's legit. Maybe they hit like a reoccurring, payment towards the Act Blue or what have you. I'm not sure. Maybe they did do that. Maybe it's an honest mistake by the elderly couple trying to donate to Act Blue. I don't know for sure. But I'd be willing to bet that they probably did a one-time donation and then that money just kept coming out. I'm willing to bet on that. You can let me know, comment below if you think differently. Anyway, Rep Crockett, through her principal campaign committee, respondent Jasmine for U.S. has received thousands of other donations through Act Blue, totaling over $870,000. That's wild. The FEC complaint stated it is unclear how many of these are similarly fraudulent transactions made in the name of unsuspecting innocent people who did not actually provide the funds. Act Blue has recently come under scrutiny because of alleged fraudulent donations that have been made under the names of older Americans. Again, I will just say, I don't know if they accidentally hit like a reoccurring payment towards Act Blue. I don't know. I've never gone on the website. Perhaps that's the thing. Perhaps it's not. I can't imagine that there would be a reoccurring payment to donate to Act Blue. I can't imagine. I'll look into that today, actually. I will make a note right here. And I will look into it today because I can't imagine that this would be a thing, that they would have a reoccurring payment like a cell phone bill or an internet payment bill, because you have automatic payments. I can't imagine that Act Blue would have that on a website saying, look, you can have reoccurring payments to come out every month, every week, what have you. Maybe it's a thing. I don't know. I'll look into it. I don't think it is though, but I'll see. It's just wild to me. I don't like Jasmine Crockett, but everybody knows my reasons why. We'll go ahead and move on to Arizona now. Arizona is having, they're going to start removing as many as 50,000 non-citizens from voter rolls following a lawsuit. Good. I'm on board with this. I 100% agree with this. It's just like the voter ID thing. I'm in favor of this. If you're not a citizen, there's no reason. Why are non-citizens on voter rolls? Because lackluster laws that Democrats have put in. Why do you think? Now, this is just an opinion, but it's definitely what I think. Why do you think that there was so many people that got surged over the southern border into the United States? Because they want those people as a voting base. Now, you can argue that, and I can understand it. You can argue that, well, illegals don't actually vote. I would argue the case that they do because this is a prime example. There are 50,000 non-citizens on voter rolls just in Arizona. It's a pretty good argument against that. But I digress. You can say that these people coming in from the southern border, the big surge that we had, it's 10 million is the official number, I believe, of just the ones that we know about. And you can argue that, well, it just redraws the voting lines in districts and what have you. I understand it. I get that argument. But this story here just proves that they're actually on voter rolls. That's why we should have voter ID. And you can argue with me all you want about that's not a voter ID is not something that we should have. Blah blah blah. It's racist. Whatever. I don't agree. I think it's easy to get an ID. Whether it's just a regular state ID or driver's license, it's not that hard. Anyway, from Fox News, all 15 Arizona counties have now begun the process of verifying and removing non-citizens from their voter rolls, including nearly 50 150,000 registrants who did not provide proof of U.S. citizenship. If you don't have proof of U.S. citizenship, you cannot vote in this country. You know, it used to be that you had to be a landowner in the U.S. to be able to vote. You had to have some kind of stake within the country. Why would you let somebody who has no stake in this country other than getting free money from the American taxpayers, because that's the policies that the Democrats have put into place? These people, it costs America on the low end, $150 billion per year. It's annually $150 billion a year. It costs the American taxpayer dollars to house, fund, keep these people here. Why? Why are we paying to keep these people in America if they're here illegally? That's the low end, 150. The high end is over $400 billion. Tell me why we have to pay for illegals to be here. Because it's the policies that the Democrats have put into place. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, America should be open. We are founded by immigrants." No, we weren't. No, we were not. We were founded by settlers. It's a huge difference between a settler and somebody who came here illegally wanting to mooch off of the system. Huge difference. People who came here initially put their lives on the line, their kids' lives on the line, all for a better life. They settled here. They got land. They farmed that land. They were self-sufficient. They took care of themselves and their families. It's much different than what we have nowadays, where these illegals come into our country and mooch off of the American taxpayer. Completely and utterly different. Anyway, rambling again. This settlement is a great result for all Arizonians. America's first legal, senior counsel James Rogers told Fox News Digital after his successful lawsuit spearheaded the process in Arizona. AFL filed the lawsuit against 15 Arizona counties last year on behalf of easyaz.org, and I'm going to butcher that name. Where'd it go? All right, there. Yvonne Cahill. Hope I got that right. A registered voter and naturalized citizen, arguing that the counties. Let me get rid of that. The counties have not been following a state law that requires proof of citizenship to vote in local and state elections, and for the state to do monthly checks of the rolls for non-citizens. Was okay. Good. I'm good with that. Why not? You'll employ some people so they can check these, rolls for non-citizens. That's one thing. And for two, if they're non-citizens, they shouldn't be voting. Period. Done. End of story. Anyway, let's see. There's that self-report story. As a result of the lawsuit, the 15 counties have now begun to work with the Department of Homeland Security to verify the citizenship status of all registered voters in the state who failed to provide proof of citizenship. That's fine. I mean, and look, if you're a citizen and you didn't provide proof, then just provide proof. It's that easy. Done. While a 2013 Supreme Court ruling prohibits states from imposing voter registration requirements beyond the federal requirement that registrants must check a box affirming their U.S. citizenship, Arizona residents are still required to provide proof of citizenship to vote in state and local elections, as it should be. Oh. The Arizona law also requires that county records perform a monthly list maintenance to confirm the U.S. citizenship of so-called federal-only voters, a list of nearly 50,000 individuals who failed to provide proof of U.S. citizenship and were not allowed to vote in state or local elections. Look, all this is doing is they're going to, if you did not provide proof and you're on this voter roll, all they're going to do is they're going to come to you, call you, what have you. I don't know what they'll do, but I would imagine they'd show up at your door, but that I don't know for sure. They're going to ask you, look, you registered to vote, you're on the voting rolls, but we don't have any kind of proof providing us stating that you're a U.S. citizen. This is what is going to happen. And if you're not a U.S. citizen, If you can't provide proof to that fact, then you're going to get taken off of this voting roll. Sorry, not sorry. I think this is the way it should be. Look, I have my American citizenship. I was born abroad. I was a military brat. It took me a long time to figure out how to get my parents had lost my birth certificate. I had the birth registry from the military hospital that I was born at, but that I couldn't use that. I had to obtain a birth certificate. It took, I think it was like 3 years. It took a very long time because the base that I had been born on had shut down. Their records were somewhere, but they moved them. I don't know where, but I was eventually able to get it. Paid a big fee to get it, but hey, I did it. Now I have it. It was a little bit difficult. It can be difficult to get this kind of stuff in certain situations, but you can do it. I did it. So can everybody else. Let's see. Restraints confirmed to be citizens are then moved to the regular list, while those found to be non-citizens are required to have their registration canceled. Good. Again, I'm fine with it. But AFL argued that in the lawsuit that county records had not been utilizing the resources available to them to verify citizenship status, something the Arizona law requires them to do. As a result, all 15 counties have now sent requests to DHS in order to assist their efforts to clear the voter rolls of non-citizens. Again, if DHS can help, I'm all for it. Again, you shouldn't be voting if you're not an American citizen, period. Let's see. This will help county recorders find and remove any aliens on their voter rolls, Rogers said. It will also potentially enfranchise federal-only voters whose citizenship is confirmed, which will allow them to vote in state and local elections. AFL congratulates each of Arizona top 15 recorders for taking this bold and important step for election integrity in the state. I applaud them. I think it's a good thing. There was a lot of shenanigans that came out of Arizona during this last election for the governor's race with Kari Lake. I don't know how much of that to be true. I don't know what was made up, what have you. I don't know. I didn't look too much into it. To be completely honest, I didn't look into it that much, but I did hear a lot of shenanigans happening and going on with that. But I remember seeing a video. What's her face? The one that actually won. I can't even think of her name right now, but video of her walking away from a journalist trying to ask some questions, and she wasn't having it. But she was just walking away, and she didn't answer no questions. So you've got that. I mean, there was a lot that maybe I'll look into that a little bit more, but I mean, there was a lot that went in with that. But again, I'll just stress I agree with having election integrity, voter rolls, voter ID. I'm all for it. It's something I want. I'm in favor of it. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you shouldn't be voting. And again, you can argue with me about, it's not about the voting, it's about the state, the lines that separate, certain districts and what have you, the more population. I understand that. I get the argument. But I think that in my personal opinion, I believe the more important fact is that people in this country that are not citizens are voting, and they shouldn't be. But that's just my take on it. But hey, that's all I got for now. I just want to apologize for this morning with the audio mix-up. It's Monday. It's a live show. But I appreciate you hanging out. If you made it this far through my ramblings, I really do appreciate it. You can follow me here on Rumble, and you can follow me on YouTube if you want to. I don't know why you would, but you can subscribe to me there as well. You can also follow me on X at The Political Ray. Appreciate you hanging out again, and I hope everybody has a great day. God bless, and take care of each other.